Your entire cucumber harvest can be won or lost in the split second that it takes to put a seedling in the ground. I see so many gardeners, heck, maybe even you, make one of these 3 mistakes that are absolutely fatal at this stage. They're subtle and they are incredibly common, but they will doom your plants from the very start. I'm going to show you exactly what those mistakes are, and we're going to fix them so your cucumber transplant doesn't just survive, they absolutely explode. You've babied your cucumber seedlings for weeks now. You've given them the perfect start, and you only to watch them wither away and die after a few days of moving them outside. I know this is beyond frustrating. You start to question everything. Was it the water? Was it the soil? The truth is, the problem likely happened during the move itself. You have to understand that cucumbers are total drama queens when it comes to being transplanted. They hate it. They despise having their roots disturbed, and they absolutely hate the cold weather. That perfect climate control world you made indoors, that was a paradise for these things. Your garden is actually a shock to their system, and most advice actually glosses over this. But this very moment is what separates a couple of sad, bitter cucumbers from a monster plant trying to take over your entire yard. Let's get straight to the first mistake that's actually killing your cucumber potential before it even starts. All right, let's get our hands dirty with maybe the first and maybe most misunderstood mistake I see people make, and it's planting their cucumber transplants way too deep. A lot of us get trained, especially if you're growing a lot of tomatoes, to bury that stem deep, right? We're told that it gives you bigger, stronger root systems, and for a tomato, that is fantastic advice. A tomato stem has all those tiny little fuzzies on the stem that's going to turn into roots. It's like that tomato's superpower. But here is the critical, fatal difference. Cucumbers do not like this. They do not have that superpower. Let me say that again so it sinks in. Burying a cucumber stem will not give you more roots. It will give you rot. A cucumber stem isn't designed to be underground. It's fleshy and it's full of water. And when you bury it in that moist soil, you're basically rolling out a welcome mat for fungus and disease. The stem gets all soft, mushy, and yellow right at the soil line, and it chokes off the water flow to the leaves. Your plant is going to look really thirsty. It will wilt, and you can water it all day long, but it will not matter because the highway for that water has just been destroyed. That's stem rot, and it's a one-way ticket to a dead seedling. So what's the fix? It's beautifully simple. You plant your cucumber transplant at the exact depth that it was in its little pot, or maybe just a tiny bit higher. When you dig your hole, make sure you dig it deep enough for just a root ball. Be gentle with those roots. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. And place that into the hole. You want the top of its little soil block to be perfectly level with your soil. Now, if you've got heavy soil or a spot that actually stays wet, I'm going to give you a little pro tip. Build you a little hill, just a mound of soil a few inches high, and plant right into the top of that. That way, this will make sure even after a big rain, water drains away from the stem and keeps it dry. Just resisting that urge to bury that stem is one of the most powerful things that you can do to make sure that your cucumber plant survives and gets ready for a season of explosive growth. It's a simple change that separates the frustrated gardener from the one that has the big, huge harvest. The second mistake is all about patience. And listen, we've all been there. It's skipping a critical step called hardening off. Think of your seedlings like little babies who've spent their whole entire life in a perfect nursery. The temperature is always right, there's no wind, and the sun is gentle, maybe a grow light or something. They're soft, they're tender, and their leaves have never felt a real wind gust, and their cells have never hit that full power of the actual sun. Then one day you take them from this nice little paradise and you just plunge them out into the chaos of the outdoors. The result? Of course, it's total shock. The leaves get scorched and turn white and crispy. The stems, which never had to hold up to a light breeze, get whipped around and it can even snap off. The plant just panics. It stops growing. It wilts, and a lot of times it just gives up and dies. You cannot blame it. That's like asking someone who's been on the couch for an entire year, hey, let's go run a marathon in the heat. The solution is you have to be a gentle coach, not a drill sergeant. You've got to introduce them to that outdoors slowly, over about a week or 10 days, especially with the cucumber plants. This is called hardening off, and your tender plant, like a cucumber, this is non-negotiable. Here is a simple schedule that works for me every single time. On day one, take your seedlings out to a nice shady spot. A covered porch or under a big tree, that's perfect. No direct sun, no strong wind. Bring them back inside. For the next couple of days, do the same thing. Maybe leave them out for about 3 or 4 hours, still in the shade, no sun. Around day 4, you can actually introduce a little bit of morning sun. Give them about an hour of direct sun and then move them back into that shade. Over the next few days, you're just going to gradually increase the direct sun by an hour each day and let them stay outside a little bit longer overall. By day 7 or 8, they should be tough enough to handle about 5 or 6 hours of sun. You can start leaving them out overnight if the temperatures are staying above 50 degrees Fahrenheit or so. After about 10 days of this, your seedlings are going to have a physical change. You're going to see them. Their stems are going to be thicker, their leaves are going to be tougher, and they're ready for that permanent home out in your garden. This little bit of patience transforms your fragile little seedlings into tough, garden-ready plants that will barely even notice the move. If you're finding this advice helpful and you're tired of gardening efforts going to waste, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I'm putting videos out like this every single week to help you get more confident and get those huge harvests. All right, the final mistake that crashes cucumber plants is all about timing. And this is a two-part problem, really. You can plant them at the wrong time of year, and you can transplant those seedlings at the wrong stage of their life. If you get either one of these wrong, your chances of success actually plummet. Cucumbers are heat-loving plants, period. The roots will not work in cold soil. So many people get excited and rush out to plant them as soon as that last frost date passes. But this is way too early for cucumbers. The number one rule is that the soil temperature has to be at least 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Honestly, 70 degrees Fahrenheit is better when you measure it in the morning. If you plant into cold, wet soil, it's a death sentence. The roots can't soak up the water or the nutrients, and the plant turns yellow and stunted, and it just sits there shivering until it rots. So be patient. Wait at least 2 weeks after your last frost date and get you a cheap soil thermometer to be sure. A few weeks of waiting for that warm soil is going to pay off with explosive growth. Second part is timing the age of the transplant. A lot of gardeners think that the bigger seedling is a better seedling. For cucumbers, this is completely false. Cucumbers have super sensitive roots and they hate being root bound. If you start your seeds way too early and they live in that little pot for too long, say more than 4 weeks, those roots just circle at the bottom of that pot. When you go to transplant those overgrown things, the roots have already been root bound and they have a hard time breaking out of that pattern and growing into the new soil. The plant just stalls out, and often it never even really recovers. The perfect cucumber transplant is actually small and young. You want to plant these out when it has its first or second set of true leaves. Those are the ones that come after the first 2 little oval-shaped baby leaves, or cotyledons. This is usually when the seedling is about maybe 3 or 4 weeks old. At this stage, it's young, it's vigorous, and its roots haven't hit the wall of that pot yet. When you plant it, it barely even feels the disturbance, and it's primed to just take off. Start your seeds about 3 or 4 weeks before you actually plan to plant them out. All right, so there we have it. The 3 fatal mistakes that are probably killing your cucumber transplant. First, we're planting them too deep and causing stem rot. Remember, plant them at the same level as they were in the pot, never deeper. Second is skipping off the hardening process and just shocking those plants to death. Take an extra week, trust me, it's worth it. And third is bad timing. Planting in cold soil or using big overgrown root bounding seedlings, that's never a good thing. Wait for that warm soil and plant them young. Gardening can be a lot of trial and error, but to avoid these 3 things will dramatically stack the deck in your favor. It will take them from frustration and dead seedlings to abundance. When you give your cucumbers the right start, they're going to reward you with unstoppable vines and a harvest that's so big you'll be making pickles for the whole neighborhood. Now you know the secrets. Get out there and give your cucumbers the start that they deserve. And I want to thank you so much for watching. If this video has helped you out, please give it a thumbs up. It really makes a huge difference to me. And make sure that you subscribe for more gardening tips that will actually lead to a huge harvest. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment down below and let me know this one thing. Have you been making some of these same cucumber mistakes? Or do you have your own trick for getting the cucumbers to take off? I read every single comment that you put in there. So thanks for sticking around to the end, and like always, keep it growing.